You picked it up before you even opened your eyes this morning, before you checked the weather, before you spoke a single word. Your hand found your phone in the dark, the way it always does, automatic and fast and completely without thought. You probably don't even remember doing it. And here's what's strange. You knew there was nothing urgent, no emergency, no one was waiting on you, but you checked anyway. And then you checked again. And now, even as you're doing something else entirely, some part of your brain is already wondering if something new has appeared. This is not a bad habit. It is not laziness. It is not weakness of character. What you are experiencing is one of the most precisely engineered psychological mechanisms ever deployed on the human brain. And the reason it works so perfectly is because it was never designed for the modern world at all. It was built for something far older, something that kept your ancestors alive when the world was trying to kill them. To understand why you can't stop checking your phone, you have to understand what your brain was originally built to do. Your brain is not optimized for happiness. It is not optimized for focus or productivity or calm. It is optimized for survival. Every structure inside your skull, every circuit, every reflex, every compulsion was shaped over millions of years with one single goal: keep you alive long enough to reproduce. That's it. That's the whole job. And in that ancient environment, information was survival. A rustle in the grass could be wind, could be a predator. Your ancestor who ignored that sound died. Your ancestor who looked up, who checked, who paid attention, survived. And because survival is heritable, that instinct passed down through every generation until it landed, fully intact, inside you. Neuroscientists call this system the orienting response. It's automatic and it's ancient, a reflex that pulls your attention toward any new stimulus in the environment. Not because the new thing is necessarily good, but because the new thing might matter. And in the ancient savanna, the cost of missing something that mattered was death. Kent Berridge at the University of Michigan spent decades distinguishing between two things the brain does that most people assume are the same. He called them wanting and liking. Wanting is the dopamine-driven urge to seek, to pursue, to check. Liking is the actual pleasure you feel when you find what you were looking for. And here is the counterintuitive part. They are almost entirely separate systems. You can want something intensely and like it very little. You can crave a thing and feel almost nothing when you get it. This is why you pick up your phone expecting to feel something and mostly feel nothing. The wanting circuit fired perfectly. The reward was absent, but the wanting doesn't care. It resets within seconds and pulls you toward the next check, the next scroll, the next notification, convinced that this time the reward will be worth it. The architects of the modern attention economy didn't invent this system. They just learned how to aim it. In the 1950s, psychologist B.F. Skinner conducted a set of experiments that would change everything. He put rats in boxes and gave them levers. In some boxes, pressing the lever always produced a food pellet. In others, it produced nothing. But in the most revealing version, the one that matters for this story, the lever produced a pellet only sometimes, unpredictably, at random. Skinner found that this unpredictable version produced the most obsessive lever-pressing behavior of all. The rats that never knew when the reward would come pressed compulsively, relentlessly, far more than the rats who got a guaranteed reward every time. This is called variable ratio reinforcement, and it is, by a significant margin, the most powerful behavioral conditioning mechanism ever discovered. Your phone is a lever. Every time you pull it from your pocket, you don't know what you'll find. Maybe nothing. Maybe something mildly interesting. Maybe a message that genuinely matters. The unpredictability is not a flaw in the design. It is the design. Tristan Harris, a former design ethicist at Google who spent years studying how attention is captured and monetized, described the smartphone feed as a slot machine that fits in your pocket. Every pull of the lever, every swipe down the screen, is a spin. The variable reward trains your brain exactly the way Skinner's lever trained the rats. And your brain has no defense against this. It was never supposed to need one. Think about what a notification actually is. It is a signal from the environment that something new has appeared. In the ancient world, new things required your immediate attention. A new sound, a new smell, a new movement at the edge of your vision. These were not interruptions. They were information about whether you would survive the next hour. So when the little red circle appears on your screen, your brain does not process it as a software feature. It processes it as a stimulus from the environment. It triggers your orienting response. It pulls your attention automatically before your conscious mind even decides to look. By the time you're aware of the notification, you're already reaching for the phone. This is what researchers at the University of California, Irvine found when they began measuring the attention cost of digital interruptions. After a single interruption, a single notification or ping, it takes the average person 23 minutes to return to full cognitive focus on the original task. 23 minutes. Not because the notification itself was significant, simply because the orienting response was triggered, the focus circuit was broken, and the brain requires enormous effort to rebuild the kind of deep concentration that most meaningful work demands. But the phone companies understood something even deeper. It's not just the interruptions that pull you in, it's the social signal inside them. For your ancestors, social information was survival information. Knowing who was angry at whom, knowing where the group was moving, knowing if your status in the tribe had changed overnight. A shift in your social position could mean the difference between getting food and not getting food, between protection and exposure, between surviving the winter and not. Adam Alter, a psychologist at New York University and author of one of the most rigorous explorations of behavioral addiction in the digital age, argues that social feedback, likes, comments, shares, replies, exploits exactly this ancient calculus. Every piece of social data that arrives on your screen triggers the same neurological circuits that evolved to track tribal relationships. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a like on a photo and a signal from a tribesman that you are still accepted, still valued, still safe within the group. This is why an unanswered message can feel subtly threatening, even when you know intellectually that it means nothing. Your ancient brain doesn't know it means nothing. Your ancient brain is running a survival check. And the deeper, stranger truth is this: you are not unusual. You are not broken. You are not less disciplined than people who seem to check their phones less. Research from the American Psychological Association has found that the vast majority of adults in connected societies report checking their phones more than they intend to. The behavior is so widespread, so consistent across age groups and cultures and contexts, that it cannot be explained by individual weakness. It is structural. It is the collision between a 3-million-year-old brain and a system engineered by some of the smartest people on the planet to capture and hold your attention indefinitely. The irony is exquisite. You are equipped with the most sophisticated survival organ ever produced by evolution, a brain that can model the future, solve abstract problems, create language and art and mathematics. And that same brain, in this one specific context, is almost perfectly helpless. Because the system targeting it is not trying to help you survive. It is trying to capture the one resource that, in the attention economy, has become more valuable than oil: your time, your focus, your gaze. There is a concept in evolutionary biology called the mismatch problem. It refers to what happens when an organism encounters an environment so different from the one it evolved in that its instincts misfire. A moth navigating by moonlight will spiral helplessly into a candle flame, not because it's stupid, but because it evolved before candles existed. The instinct is perfect. The environment has changed. You are the moth. The phone is the flame. And knowing this changes something, because once you see the mechanism clearly, the ancient wanting circuit, the variable reward, the orienting reflex, the social threat detection running silently in the background, you can begin to relate to the compulsion differently, not as a character flaw, not as something to feel ashamed of or defeated by, but as an ancient brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, firing in an environment it was never designed for. Your ancestors survived because they could not ignore new information, because they checked, because the pull towards stimulation was stronger than the pull towards stillness. That reflex saved the species. And now it's costing you your afternoon. Tonight, when your phone lights up for the 43rd time, your hand will move before your mind decides. Your orienting response will fire. your dopamine circuit will whisper that this one might be different. And for just a moment, in some part of your brain that is not thinking about technology or social media or attention spans, you will be an animal on a plane, looking up from the grass, checking the horizon to see if the world has changed. It hasn't. But you'll look anyway. You always do.